The last step in assembling this is, and when you're ready to use it, putting the mainspring on. So that's something when you store it, I like to take the mainspring off when I store it, and I just kind of either keep it hanging in the back here, but it's just a daily reminder that I know this mainspring is not attached to that trap. So something easy to do there, and it only takes a second of time, and you know that you're going to be safe. So what you do when you connect this is the mainspring has two open hooks on either end. What you're going to do, you see this spring swivel under here this is going to rotate. It has a hole in it right there. You're going to take this mainspring and come connect it in and around that hole, just like I'm doing right here. So it's going to go through just like that, where you can see. So I can let it rest right there, and then there's this spade bolt, which has two lock washers on it. And this is when, you know, your own kind of open-ended wrench is going to come in handy to tighten that up. There's a hole in this side. You're going to connect that, undo this is also a 9/16 bolt, and then there's a hole in the back of the trap that you're going to stick that bolt through. And I'm actually going to turn this around here so you can see what I'm doing. See how the bolt comes back through here? I'm going to take my nut, screw it on, and when I have this tightened, I want to have anywhere from 3 to 6 threads showing is going to be good. So the nut on the inside can be adjusted, because when you tighten those two together, the nut on the inside is going to go against the frame, and the nut on the outside is going to go against the frame, and it's going to tighten that right up. So what I can do here is, and what I also like to do is the spade bolt is like this is what I call that, the spade bolt that you're tightening this up on. Has when you connect it, the hole's drilled through the middle and it's flat. So when you start tightening it, you don't want that to get tweaked, because it can, with the hook on the spring, it can give you a little bit of a catch there when it cycles. So I like to reach up and grab the spring as I'm tightening this and just make sure that spade bolt there, that flat part, stays perfect right there, up and down. And you can even get a shot of that if you want here, but I'm going to hold this and just make sure as I'm tightening that's staying straight. So very simple to do. And I'm going to tighten this up until, like I said, you can adjust that inside nut if you want, but I'm going to tighten it up. I like where it is right now, so I'm just going to tighten it up. And that's, now the inside nut hit the frame and the outside nut is tightened up against the frame. So everything's ready. It's loaded. As far as the spring, it's now ready to operate once you hook these two to a 12-volt battery. So the switch in the rear, you have an on position, an off position, and a disarm. And what the disarm means, when that arm comes into the loaded position, which is underneath the tray here, clay's going to drop down on the arm. If you need to release that arm, release the tension off of that spring, you can flip it to disarm, which is right here. It's going to say disarm, and you can hit that foot pedal, and the arm's going to walk itself out basically backwards, because this thing cycles counterclockwise. So it's going to walk itself out clockwise, backwards, all the way out till it's pointing straight out, just like it is right here. And that's an unloaded position. That spring's going to have zero tension on it. You flip it back to off, and that's all you have to do right there. So that safely allows you to get the tension off that mainspring. When you're using it, you flip it to on, and every time it loads, it's going to stop, hit the foot pedal, and it's going to cycle through. So very simple there, and a great safety feature, again, on this trap. And like I said, you want to be behind this unit anytime you're working on it, installing the mainspring, anything like that. If I need to go up and adjust something, I'm going to take that spring off to know that there's zero chance that this thing can release, that I can accidentally hit the foot pedal, that I can push that arm through and cycle and have it hit me. So you want to use good judgment and really just always be thinking about the safety issues on that. So just like anything else out there, I mean, just be safe when you're using it and think about it before you do something. So that's the assembly of the White Wing automatic trap. Very simple. Go through it again. You just put the legs on, put the tubes on, put your safety ring guard, and attach the mainspring. So only a few steps there. A very simple trap, a great unit. I hope you guys have fun with it. And if there's any other questions on it, you can always call our customer service department or look us up on the web at doalloutdoors.com. One thing I want to go over with you guys is a troubleshooting section. If you're experiencing any issues on the trap, hopefully this something I say here will help you. You can always call our customer service department or look us up on the web at doalloutdoors.com. And hopefully, you know, we can get an answer resolved there for you. But a lot of times, this troubleshooting section will help you. So the trap itself is pretty easy to work with and all that other stuff. So before I do anything, the one thing that I want to do is I'm actually just going to go down here and I'm going to take this mainspring off. So I'm going to take this nut on the outside here and I'm just going to loosen that. That way I know that I'm working on a trap that I don't even have the chance of it being loaded, anything like that. So make sure when you're taking the spring off, your arm's in the disarm position, pointing out straight, the trap's off, you're disconnected from a power source. And then the last thing you do is just unhook this spring right here. So take that nut off, pull the spring out, and I'm just going to set this to the side. That way I can take this arm and I can do whatever I want with it. I'm now completely free to move about the unit and not have to worry about anything. So one section I want to work with you on is, let's say you've got a hard time sliding the clays down through the tubes. During the assembly I showed you that there is a little bit of movement in this tube here. Very small, but you know, if you are having an issue with that, it's enough to sometimes make a difference. So again, just take each one of these tubes, pull it to the outside of this horseshoe, get your Allen wrench right here and just tighten that down. Make sure that that's pulled to the outside, and that's going to make a lot of difference right there. So in the US here, we're using 108mm clays, which are sold here. Those guys who are international using 110mm, it's also going to fit in here. And that's the reason for the small tubes in the front and the big tubes in the back. So that'll work well. You can just slide any one of those in there. It's going to hold 25 clays. Next section that I'll talk to you about, I'm going to tilt this right over the trap itself. This little micro switch or limit switch right there, you can hear that click, and you can watch as I cycle the arm. This cam right here is going to come by, and as the arm's coming into the loaded position, you can watch it depress that, and you'll hear it click right there. That means that's where the arm is going to stop. If your arm itself, and when you have everything loaded, hooked to power, if it just keeps cycling, most common scenario is this little micro switch or limit switch right here got bent. Either somebody grabbed it while they were picking it up and bent it, and you know, very simple fix. So what I can do is cycle this around and hear it depress. If the arm looks like it's already too far over center, it's just going to keep cycling. So easy fix there. I'm just going to reach under here, and this is just kind of a thin piece of metal right here with a little roller on it. I can take that and I can actually just kind of bend that roller out a little bit. So what that's allowing me to do and achieving is when this cam comes along, it's going to depress that sooner. So you can actually bring that arm to stop closer to before it hits center. If the arm's not coming far enough, you're simply just going to do the opposite of that. You're going to take this and you're going to bend it that direction. So you're going to take that roller and depress it that way, so that when this cam does come around, it takes a little bit longer to depress that. So that's pretty simple there, and you generally don't have to really mess with that too much. In rare occasions, somebody will get that bent out, but that's just a real simple fix. If it's still, you know, a situation where the trap's just cycling, make sure that your foot pedal is still operational. There's a little Phillips head screw right here that you can just undo that, and then you're going to slide that little metal pin out. You can open up your foot pedal. Just make sure that the button didn't get smashed down and it's just stuck. So again, make sure that you turn your trap off, that you disarm it, and you're in a safe situation to kind of manage all of that. So, you know, as far as troubleshooting goes, that's really a lot of what goes on there. And the trap itself, and I will talk to you about this, the elevation adjustment on this trap, there's two bolts right here. They're going to be 3/4 inch bolts. And simply take your wrench and just loosen that on either side, and there's a slotted adjustment right there. And you'll watch when I get this loosened here, I can take this trap now and I can adjust the elevation anywhere from 5 all the way up to 35 degrees. So that's about my max right there. And then if I want to keep that set right there, I just tighten up these bolts again. So pretty easy. The wrench that came with the trap itself is going to fit these right here. So you can use that just to tighten those up. Very simple adjustment there. It's all internal, keeps the trap light, keeps it easy to transport. So that's how you adjust up and down. And any other troubleshooting issues that you may have, I hope that answers those. Again, if you do have questions, make sure you contact our customer service department.